Street Society is a week-long endeavour where we send, I think we have 150 students out in the field this week, and they're out at 5 urban villages across Northern Ireland, and they're all engaged in projects based in the community. They've been working the entire week, so it's a make-up of master's students and undergraduate students. We've just been watching the first 3 presentations based in Colin, and the clients have come back with very positive feedback to the students about how much they've listened and how they feel that some of this is achievable.
We've been asked to come here to design a town centre within the community of Colin, where the communities of Twinbrook, Blagmore and Poleglass can integrate where the new master plan city is. And it was very interesting to get out into the field and to interview real people to see what their needs were and to try and make their vision a reality.
We basically were looking at the linkages in Colin in terms of the infrastructure and the green spaces and how we could connect those together to bring the communities closer. We've been interacting with Blagmore Forum community and getting their opinions and things that have helped us kind of gain more of an understanding of the area and what they want to get out of us being here.
One of the problems we have in Blagmore, we're out on a limb. We can't link to each other, never mind different areas. And I have been impressed with the students. They listen to everything that we said were our issues. They've come up with great ideas. They've come up with ideas that can happen, and together maybe we will make Colin a town centre that's appreciated and loved by the people.
We worked with the students over the last week, and we thought that the project they did was really useful to us. It made a real difference to how we're thinking about the future of the design of a room and an outdoor space. They brought really imaginative, creative ideas to us, and they've really motivated us to think quite differently about how we move forward, and we really appreciate being part of it.
We're here today in North Belfast at the former St Gemma's School, and we've just had the 3 presentations from the Queen's University Street Society students. All of their work has really injected some creativity, some really thoughtful time spent on ideas which are starting to form through the Urban Village Development Framework.
We've been working with the Upper Ardoyne Community Partnership to develop an architectural scheme for the playing fields. Our main idea behind it was a series of pods alongside the River Farset to try and engage the local community and give the youth spaces to come and enjoy.
One of the key things that we're actually looking to do in the area is to redevelop Ballysillan playing fields as an active community hub. What the students have done today has actually taken that to a new level, and that it could be a sort of groundbreaking and something that's not within parks and within Belfast that actually does give people that sense of pride for the area.
What I really was enthusiastic about was the fact that the park could be seen as something more than a thoroughfare to get you from the Upper Ardoyne area to the main Ballysillan road, which it is at the minute. I'm really looking forward to Ballysillan Park becoming a place that we can use safely.
I think we really learned how one building at the centre of community can really influence and impact on how people treat the way that the place that they live in and how they can get a lot more pride in their area. I learned a lot more about how we can actually procure projects like this and how funding works and how we can't do everything at once, and we need to sort of phase things.
We were working with the urban villages this week as part of a street society, and our client was Cancer Focus NI. So they wanted us to create some kind of shading device along the Lower NEWTOWNARDS road, working with the community to create some kind of interactive mechanism that could be added to the lampposts, and they could lower and raise them when they wanted. It's a real project that could happen, and we've been working with groups who are very interested and have been following what we've been doing.
In education and environment, you're working on a project that, even though there is realism to it, it is theoretical. As in this project, we've been working directly with members of the community. You've been talking with members of the community, you've been taking inspiration from everything they've been saying and applying it to their project. It becomes something personal to them, therefore it becomes something personal to us, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing to be involved in.
We're doing a project on Sandy Row along with the Belfast South Community Resources as our client. So it was working on the former GILPINS building, which is a derelict former glue factory, brewery and furniture store. So our proposals were focusing on economically viable potential uses for the building, which would engage with the community and display their proud history. We proposed a microbrewery, and then that can expand into office space for training the local residents and enhance their job prospects and education. Our client Buzz, he was down, and it's good seeing that it'll positively affect him and his community group, and hopefully the local residents and the wider community. So it was nice seeing that. It makes it worthwhile.
The students presented a piece of work about the community gardens in Donegal Pass, which I found really interesting. Some new ideas that really popped out. I found the most interesting thing is how others view Donegal Pass. You know, it's how they look at it. It was very interesting, and I found it very worthwhile.
We really wanted to work on this project in particular and the urban villages in Derry because, you know, since studying architecture since I was 18, I've never had an opportunity to actually work on something in the city. So I think we were quite aware of some of the problems that do exist in the Bogside, and our proposal was a master plan in maybe 3 or 4 phases. Some of them might be slightly far-fetched, maybe too much of a budget, but even if it was for just one of those phases to be considered or something on a smaller scale, that would be the idea. So we were trying to get as much out as we could, just to start letting clients filter some of these ideas into conversations.
As I said at the meeting, there's been so many plans done over the last 40 years, and I can understand it's through the troubles now, and nothing came of it. So I'd like to see something coming of this.
We all came together and it's a live project, so it's one of the first times we actually get to work with clients. So our group was focused on Bishop Gate, like Bishop Street, the interface of that peace wall. So we were changing just simple things like the surface and creating like a shared movement within the space. It's always just about the people and creating an environment for the people.
I have to say, it was great to get another perspective of it. They just blew my mind, you know, some of the ideas they had, the skating rink in below the flyover, just incorporating the whole area, bringing the Bishop Street and the fountain and the Bogside all together and connecting the people. And it's clear when they went out and talked to the residents and talked to the community groups that they listened, which is fantastic. It's up to us now as community groups to take it on board.
I found it really interesting to see how the students, the architect students, have actually designed them. The Health and Wellbeing Centre down by MEENAN Road and the shops. I think they're able to display quite a lot of images, and I think for people who possibly can learn visually, that was very effective. And I think they just communicated really clearly and concisely as well, and they got across to their clients what their proposal was. And I think, given the feedback in the Q&A session, you can see that the clients were very happy with what the students proposed. So yeah, I thought it was a very, very successful week.
Today has been an astounding day of amazing work, engaging in a much more kind of broad conversation about what architecture can do, but also the complexity of how architecture exists beyond just building.
The clients were quite clearly astounded by the level of ability to represent their ideas. So I certainly think it's very appropriate, it fits very, very well, and it should be the future of architectural education.
It's crucially important for students in architectural courses to take part in projects like this, which is very much about working with the community, talking to them, learning what their needs are, and then working with them in a way to find a response to those needs and solutions. And that's exactly what happened here this week.
I saw students this week more motivated than I've ever witnessed them. And I also think that they're just so empowered. They took full control of it, and that's exactly what we wanted them to do. Sometimes we, as architects, are a bit blasé about space. We're so used to manipulating it and changing around. We forget that even the simplest little gesture and movement is a really big thing for some organisations.